Welcome to episode 75 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we got that number 5 every 5th episode Best Picture Showdown for you guys. I'm super excited to be here with my good pal Connor and talk about the 93rd Academy Awards, which feature Best Picture winner Nomadland against The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. Pretty interesting category. It's eight total movies. We're going to rank those movies later on. We're also going to, kind of take a deep dive into what we feel about Nomadland. We're going to give awards to it. We'll look at the nominations that Nomadland got, and then just have some fun. But, to start us off, I just want to get your initial thoughts. This movie's like 8 months old. Nomadland, and it won Best Picture last March at the famous Steven Soderbergh directed Oscars, and one that will go down in history because of some controversy towards the end, with Chadwick Boseman not winning and Anthony Hopkins winning Best Actor, and then the show just fucking ended and the credits started rolling and everybody was like, wait, what? Hopkins was great, but why'd y'all do that way? Fascinating stuff. But for you, I watched this movie on Hulu when it came out back in February. It came out during that famous Texas winter storm of February. Yeah. And I remember watching it at home, just kind of like that was all I had to do because you couldn't really go anywhere. There was a time when our power, was just completely out, so I couldn't watch movies. But when it came back, I watched Nomadland, and that first watch, it kind of like put me on the floor. It kind of just destroyed me. I'm a huge McDormand fan anyway, and I think she's incredible in this movie. So I had a blast with it, and rewatching it, I grew to like it even more in some senses. So how do you feel about it now after it, having like 8 months of life?
Well, it's interesting because 3 of these movies we've covered in depth on the sneak preview because they've come out this year. Yes. And this is kind of the first time we've revisited in that way. Definitely not the last, But Nomadland, I gotta say this time around, I've lost some affection for it.
Okay.
It's
why is that?
There's so little happening. And it really just, I think because when it came out, because of the freeze and because of all the hype, I let a lot of things go. I let a lot of what I usually look for in a film slide. And while McDormand is fantastic, I just feel like I'm constantly waiting for something to happen. And there's no real driving force. It's just kind of watching her go from camping ground to Amazon job. And I get what Chloe Zhao is trying to say with this film. I think it would have been much more effective as a documentary because it's basically a documentary with Francis.
Yeah. It definitely is. Feels like a documentary and has, Bob Wells, real guy, Linda May, real lady, Swanky, real lady, who actually have, adapted to this life of van dwelling and being a nomad and actually do it. And I think people who are, first off, you're right, there is not a whole lot happening plot wise, and that's totally fair. I also think it's totally fair to kind of view this movie as kind of just exploitation and kind of like treating these people who really live this life, who really had to sacrifice and give things up and change everything about their day to day. And it's a fucking Hollywood, production. And it's a movie that won Best Picture, and Frances McDormand won Best Actress for playing a van dweller when the people next to her are van dwellers. So it's very hard. It's a very tricky movie, I think. And I understand people who have frustrations with it. As an experience, I really love it. As an overall experience, I love Nomadland. I really want to read the book by Jessica Bruder. I think that would open up, some different kind of understanding. She actually went and did it and lived that life, and that's how she met, Linda May and Swanky and Bob Wells. And she lived in a van and wrote this book And then Chloe Zhao was very stirred by it, very moved by it, and wanted to make a movie about it. And I think it's tricky. I don't think it's as easy as just saying, oh, they're exploiting poor people. But I also don't think it's just as simple as saying, oh, what a outstanding, well filmed movie. You know, I think it deserves a conversation. I'm glad we're talking about it today. You know, the 93rd Academy Awards again were just last March of this year. So it's not that long now, but you and I have rewatched all 8 movies from the category. And Nomadland, of course, is the one that forever, you know, is going to be remembered as a winner. And so it's always going to have that extra urge to, hey, why did it win? What's so special about it? And, you know, movies can either triumph with that, like a Godfather, you know, or, you know, like a Kramer versus Kramer or Amadeus. They can take that by the balls and kind of run with it, or they can kind of falter as you watch it more and more. Something like Argo, something like Driving Miss Daisy. You know, they can lose that spice that they once had during the award season, and with rewatches and kind of reevaluating it can change. So I'm glad you feel differently than you do about Nomadland. I definitely feel differently, but I think I like it more now, and I've always kind of liked it. So it's gonna be fun, man. You know, Chloe Zhao, I think, is a good place to kind of start. She is a big reason why we're doing this movie. You know, Best Picture showdowns are saved, of course, for Best Picture movies, but she also is in the spotlight right now as we speak because of Eternals, fucking Marvel movie. So Chloe Zhao does, you know, these really gritty, kind of authentic type, almost documentary type movies. The Writer and Nomadland. And then she gets this huge job working on a Marvel movie. And from what I've heard, you know, it's not out yet, but from what I've heard, it's not very good. And it doesn't quite meet the expectations of what we know as Marvel movies now. That's not very easy to do when Infinity War and Endgame just came out, you know, 2019 and, you know, 2018. So it's a tough spot for her to be in.
Well, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that we're recording this Wednesday of last week, so that we have yet to see this. Mm-hmm. But it's currently sitting at a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's getting pretty panned across the board. And I think it's unfortunate that Chloe Zhao is probably going to go down as the only director at least the first director who made a rotten Marvel movie. Yeah. And that sucks. And I really hope this doesn't set her career back in any way. I hope Eternals works. You know, combined with the pandemic and the bad reviews, I don't see this making a lot of money. Yeah. It's also, you know, the movies and the TV shows that Marvel have been doing, they have this built-in kind of lure in them. You know, like Loki is a character we know very well, very, very well. We kind of have an idea of what to expect from that character and his antics and what's going to be going on. Same thing with WandaVision. Spider-Man's coming out in December. We know exactly what to expect from that. We're like, it's fucking Spider-Man. Those movies have been kick-ass. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is. I think Eternals had to have the good reviews and the critics raving it for people to be like, okay, this falls in line with what I need to see. But like you said, you know, because it doesn't have that, and with the unfortunate, you know, ways of Kevin Feige, who is like, no, I want this to be a big part of how we expand and how we move forward with the MCU into the next phase. It's a tricky spot. You know, you know, Disney, Marvel, they're always going to be okay. They very, very rarely miss. And usually fans are obsessed with their work. So they're going to be okay. Like I said, Spider-Man's coming soon. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. But it does suck when especially a female director like Chloe Zhao gets an opportunity and it just gets kind of squandered. And I, you know, gotta save our thoughts until we actually see it. Talking about it tomorrow, next sneak preview. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Sure. So there you go. So tomorrow, come back to Filmgazm. Come check out the sneak preview episode, and we'll talk more about that. But Chloe Zhao in Nomadland, you know, she's operating as the director. She wrote the screenplay, the adapted screenplay, and she's the film editor. She's kind of doing it all. She's kind of like Alfonso Cuaróning this fucker. So that's impressive. And she has forever left her mark
as the second woman to ever win Best Director after Catherine Bigelow for The Hurt Locker, which is just fucking bonkers. 2 out of 93. That's absurd, you know. And she became the first Asian woman to even be nominated in the category. So she's made history already. I just really hope whatever comes after Eternals, maybe she kind of goes back to her roots and does something a little more on the ground, you know, a little bit more level-headed, because Marvel's not like an easy thing to just jump into.
Well, and Eternals is such an ambitious story. I mean, she's got the unfortunate job of introducing, you know, the layman Marvel fans, like just, you know, moviegoers, to a very complex pantheon of superheroes that a lot of people, including myself, really know nothing about. And she's got to make it stand out. She's got to make it exciting. She's got to make people remember this movie. And it could just come down to, you know, maybe these characters are unfilmable. I mean, again, I have not yet seen the movie, so I don't want to judge it too harshly yet. But I'm not looking forward to it as much as I was Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sucks. It sucks, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I think she's gonna, you know, she's pretty young and has a lot of stuff ahead of her, you know. It's very rare that a director just can go from one small world of, you know, independent filmmaking to the biggest possible stage, you know. That's not the easiest thing to do.
Well, that's what Marvel does. They snap up independent filmmakers, like, you know, James Gunn hadn't really done a lot of
he's perfect
big stuff till Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he's an A-lister. So it does, you know, you need a certain sense of style to make all these work. And I just don't know if Chloe Zhao has that yet. Like a style, you know? I mean, it seems like if you look at Nomadland and you look at the preview so far for Eternals, it looks like her style is just kind of like dry dullness, which is unfortunate. So I hope she can do some, like, something kind of vibrant to really, like, you know, draw people in.
Yeah, I agree. I'm rooting for her. That's for sure. I'm definitely in her corner, and I want her to do well, and I want her to find that balance maybe, and find that style like you're talking about. She's got a future though. She's going to be okay. Someone who doesn't really need much introduction, much talking is Frances McDormand. Just one of the best performers I've ever watched in my entire life. She just destroys everything she does, from, you know, Raising Arizona to Nomadland, like, and everything in between. She always shows up. She always knocks her role like completely out of the park. Doesn't matter what her, you know, if it's lead, supporting, whatever it is, you know, she is usually what you walk away from each movie she's in, like, man, Frances McDormand is fucking electric, you know. Even movies I don't necessarily love, like this is controversial, but Almost Famous. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I'm a huge fan of McDormand in that movie. My God, she is scary. She's frightening in that movie. She's one of the greatest actresses or actors in the eyes of the Academy. She's one of the rare people to get 3 performance Oscars. That's kind of unheard of, you know. The other people who have done it, you know, Katharine Hepburn and Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson, like, these are titan, like, huge performers, people that we remember forever. And McDormand's in that category now. It's really cool that I was rooting for her to win as Fern in Nomadland, just for history's sake. Do I like Vanessa Kirby's performance more in Pieces of a Woman? Yeah, I do. But I was really rooting for McDormand just because I want to see history in that way. And then seeing her howl on stage after she won was fantastic. She was nominated for the first time in 1988 for her supporting role in Mississippi Burning. And then 8 years later, she won for lead role in Fargo, 1996, a movie we've talked about. Actually, Fargo we talked about on Oscar Sunday during the winter storm, because Nomadland was coming out. We did it on sneak preview. We did Fargo on Oscar Sunday, and look at it. Look at where we're at now. Really cool. She was nominated for Almost Famous 2000, Best Actress in Supporting Role. Supporting role again in 2005. Nomination, North Country, great movie. Then she won in 2017 for her lead role in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and then got that third win just less than a year ago in Nomadland. And she also is the first actress nominated for acting and producing in the same film, and that's Nomadland. So pretty cool stuff. She is a big part of why Nomadland works, even though she's part of the controversy, being the only, well, not the only, but one, the only main one. You got David Strathairn as well, but she's in the movie the entire time, and she's an actress, and then she's surrounded by these people who really live this life. Some of them didn't even recognize her, didn't even know who she was when she's walking around the vans, because McDormand has a very just kind of normal kind of look to her, which is one of the coolest reasons, one of the coolest assets that she has as a performer, is just kind of having an everyday kind of look, an everyday kind of woman, and she kind of carries that with her. But what is there to say about her? Is she in the conversation for the GOAT? Is she one of the greatest of all time? Is she our generation's, Katharine Hepburn? I don't know. I don't really know what could be said about her other than that she's just fantastic.
Yeah, she's a rock star. Not only her performances, but how vocal she's been about equality in Hollywood is fantastic. She never misses an opportunity to throw shade at producers who don't accept, who are on the wrong side of history. And I love that. But yeah, she's fantastic. Definitely a conversation could be made for her as the GOAT. I think just by frequency of performances. I think, Meryl Streep is often touted as the greatest actress of all time, and she's good, but I don't know about that. But well, it's just a nomination every year it kind of takes the magic away from it. It's oh, there's Meryl's movie, and are all of them deserved? I don't think so. The Iron Lady, get the fuck out of here. Whereas McDormand gives 110% every time, and I think that you were talking about her look. I think that's enabled her to really become a transformative character actor who just astonishes. I mean, I am super pumped for the tragedy of Macbeth, in major part because I want to see her and Denzel act together, and that's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, those are two absolute titans, just head to head, and it's Coen, and of course she's married to Joel Coen and has been since 1984. And that's just it's the most perfect pairing in the world.
Yeah. And it's fucking Shakespeare. The only story by Shakespeare I actually enjoy, Macbeth. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I just got to see her in French Dispatch. She's become kind of a Wes Anderson go-to since Moonrise Kingdom, I guess. She's someone who clearly understands the vision of each director she works with, but she always brings her kind of pace and her grit. I love her for that. She's one of my favorites for sure. And I would love to witness her get a 4th Oscar win at some point in her career. She's in her 60s. It's very possible. Very, very possible. She's also one of the only, Triple Crown winners. She won a Tony, won an Emmy, and she's won Oscars. She's just a freak of nature. And
damn.
Yeah. She has a those other people I named don't have that. They don't have that. Katharine Hepburn, Meryl Streep, I know they're from a different era, especially Hepburn, but they don't have that to their resume. Frances has done it on the stage, has done it in TV and movies just exquisitely for decades now. And she's the bomb. I love her to death. I love anytime we get to bring her up is an absolute treat for me.
If she does a country album or something, she's got that EGOT.
She could. I wouldn't put it past fucking Frances Mack to make a country album. Yeah, incredible stuff. I love her. Again, there's only one other performer that's straight actor that we recognize, and that's David Strathairn, who plays David in the movie. Man, oh man, this guy puts in. This is one of the things I kind of not missed the first time I watched it, but his subtlety in this movie is something to behold. I think he is perfectly placed next to someone like Francis, who's just like lightning, and he kind of comes in. He's like the quiet thunder, just kind of waiting, and just when he's on the screen, you could feel him right above you. And I love his role in this. I love his performance. I love what he's doing. There's a couple scenes that he's in that are my favorites of the whole movie. So I respect this guy a lot. And, he was nominated for Best Actor in a Lead Role, Good Night and Good Luck, 2005. A movie I've only seen one time, and I don't remember it that well because I was kind of young. I would love to see it again, though. It might be a movie we bring up on this show one day. And he's someone we get to bring up again. But that's his only nomination ever.
Well, it's an earned one. Good Night and Good Luck is a stellar film about one of America's greatest journalists, Edward R. Murrow, who stood up to Joseph McCarthy and his fucking Red Scare. And the film actually uses McCarthy, like archive footage of the senator in the film by like debating against David Strathairn. And it's fucking cool. Yeah, I think he's fantastic in that movie. And I'm glad if he was going to have just one nomination, I'm glad it's for that. Because, yeah, well done.
Yeah, he's damn good in it. He's a guy who's just been. You look at his like IMDb and you're like, oh yeah, he's in all of these movies. He whether it's 5 minutes on the screen or 15, he's a guy who's worked constantly for a long time. And I think the one that I remembered most fondly when I was kind of looking at his IMDb is his role in LA Confidential from 1997. That I love that movie. It's fucking awesome. It's one of those underrated to me 97 movies. I think we think of a lot, Boogie Nights and Jackie Brown and Good Will Hunting. I'd like to throw LA Confidential in that conversation. It's a great movie.
LA Confidential fucking rocks. It's one of the best cop movies of the 90s, maybe ever. It's just stylized. It's the perfect, just a great cast, epic story. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't we never brought that movie up as a potential episode, I think, till now. I would love to do LA Confidential. Me too.
It's definitely going to happen at some point. I like 97 a lot. I think that's a really cool year. And it'd be fun to do something other than Boogie Nights from that year. I think that's the only movie we've done from 97. If I'm not mistaken. We've done a lot of 90s movies. We had we did 5 90s movies in a row. We did, Truman Show, and we did What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and we did Unforgiven. We did fucking Toy Story. But I think 97, the only time we've gone there is Boogie.
I think you're right. I'm looking at what we've done so far, and I think, it's just Boogie Nights so far.
Yeah. And what a great film it is. But I would love to do something else. Go take a different angle in 97, and maybe LA Confidential is the one to go. Let's see. Those are the only 2 performers in Nomadland who have some sort of Oscar resume, because again, a lot of them are not actors. So I got one other person to talk about here that's on the crew, and that's the visual effects. Stefan Caretti, I believe is how you say it. Which right away, when you look at the IMDb for this guy, you realize, oh, that's the connection for Chloe Zhao and Marvel. Okay. I see it. Nominated for 2 Oscars, Guardians of the Galaxy 2014 and Doctor Strange 2016. Also worked on Nomadland. And that's got to be where some kind of, conversations and friendship started between him and Chloe. Hey, you've got some talent. You got a serious eye. Maybe you should, maybe I should put a word in for you. I maybe it's not that simple, but I feel like something along those lines happened, and I think that's how a lot of stuff happens in Hollywood, is just those random connections.
Am I blind, or where exactly are the visual effects in Nomadland?
I don't think visual effects is probably the right title.
Yeah, it says right here, visual effects by. They had a whole team. But I think they probably did other things than what we are used to from Doctor Strange and Guardians.
probably had to do a lot with the lighting and what's happening. That's also got to be the cinematographer who has only been nominated for Nomadland, so there's not really a serious resume there. But someone like Stefan Caretti has clearly put together some stuff. Also worked on Cloud Atlas, worked on Endgame. Pretty massive stuff, massive scale stuff. Maybe there was some consulting that had to be done over certain things. I'm not sure. That's something that'd be fun to kind of research.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe one day if I write a thesis on this movie, which could happen.
It could. You never know. You never fucking know. Let's see. That's it for our individuals that make up Nomadland. So let's have some fun with the 93rd Academy Awards. These movies, we just were on a ride with, again, less than a year ago. And so it was really cool to rewatch and remember, of course, we have the 8 that we're going to be talking about in the Best Picture category, but like Another Round is pure fucking perfection to me. And it was really cool to just see Vinterberg's name, to see you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Another Round was at this ceremony. Really, really fucking cool. Regina King's debut, One Night in Miami. I was like, oh yeah, I liked that movie. That movie's fucking badass. And I love when that happens with these recent ceremonies because we know them so much better than, the 30s and 40s. This is what we've lived through.
Yeah.
As movie fans, these are movies we've seen in theaters or seen on streamers and have become a part of our everyday, life. And I love when that happens, man. I love doing these showdowns that involve the whole ceremony because we know so much about it, have seen so much from it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's always great to have more, a better grasp of the content and more shit to talk about. It's always great to add to the conversation. When we do films pre like 1970, it's a little bare when we cover the ceremony because that's just, not an area of film we've really gotten to dig into. But over the course of this show, we've definitely grown.
Oh, and we will continue to. That's the idea. The idea is that Oscar Sunday is still a baby, this podcast, and that one day there will, because of our own time and watching stuff in our spare time and watching stuff for the show, at some point we will have so many nominated movies under our belt that those episodes will be just as easy to get through as these. And that's going to happen. And instead of doing all of that work without recording and then coming up with the show's more of a journey, with us. And I hope if you're listening and you like this show, that you're kind of on that journey with us, because a lot of people in their 20s just don't give a flying fuck about the Academy and what it has to offer. But you and I have always been like, no, it can be cool and it should be cool. And we should want it to be cool. If you're a movie fan and you should want it to be something special, even if it's not perfect every time, you should want that to happen. You should be rooting for movies like Another Round. You should be rooting for movies like Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari. You should be fucking pounding your fist when those movies you make money, get recognition, and make more money because of that recognition.
Yeah, well said, man. It's all contributing to an overall just love of film and an excitement when people get to make something that they love, because it encourages us to constantly seek out stuff that matters and kind of reinforce stuff that people think doesn't matter. And all of these shows kind of are constantly going in that direction, and I love that.
Hell yeah, man. Very cool. Well, let's see. Let's start with the nominations for Nomadland before the wins. It won Best Picture, of course, Best Actress in the Lead Role, and Directing. But we got 3 other nominations for Cinematography, Film Editing, and Screenplay. So you want to start with Cinematography?
Why not?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So our nominations for Best Cinematography, we've got Judas and the Black Messiah by Sean Bobbitt, News of the World by Darius Wolski, Nomadland by Joshua James Richards, The Trial of the Chicago 7 by Faden Papamichael, and the winner...
Awesome name.
Yeah. I feel like I've mispronounced that name before. And the winner, Mank by Eric Messerschmidt. Mank.
Yes. Yes.
I forgot about Mank, and rewatching that one was a joy.
I love Mank. I like Mank even more now. Me too. Rewatching that was like, oh God, this movie is like the most hated Fincher movie, and I fucking can't stand it. It's got the lowest rating of all of his movies on Letterboxd. People are just like, why do you got to stroke Hollywood like that? Because it's fucking awesome, and Gary Oldman is fucking amazing at it, and Eric Messerschmidt as the cinematographer is putting in a fucking clinic in this movie. Totally deserves the win. I think Nomadland has something to say. I think Judas has something to say. Hell, News of the World is okay. But Mank is like a revelation when it comes to photography. God, that movie looks perfect.
Mank is, I get why people don't like when Hollywood kind of just, strokes itself. But I mean, sometimes it's justified. I mean, the story of Citizen Kane is a story worth telling. And I thought, Fincher did such a great job telling this story from his father's screenplay, which is his late father's screenplay, which already is like just great. And it's a film about just not giving a fuck and doing, art for art's sake. How do you not get behind that?
I don't know.
It's wonderful. And it's got one of the snappiest screenplays ever. The dialogue in that movie is like fucking like, lightning. It's beautiful. It's witty as shit. I love it.
I love Mank. Love Mank. And I think my favorite part of it is that there's a feeling you get when you're in someone's hands. And when I went to see French Dispatch, I was like, oh man, I was just smiling ear to ear for the first 15 minutes because you're like, this is why I go. This is why I go watch stuff that I like, that's for me and makes sense to me, how it looks. And I feel that same way about almost every single David Fincher movie. And you have to look at Eric Messerschmidt. You have to look at his different cinematographers and that vision, that Fincher, that freakish vision he has of, doing 80 to 90 takes just to get one little thing correct. And you gotta wonder if Eric Messerschmidt also has that crazy, work ethic of let's perfect this. And in Mank, it looks like they're going hand in hand. It's like a perfect match of two guys, two visionaries working together as one. And at the center, right in front of the camera, is Gary Oldman putting in one of his best performances of all time.
Yeah. I brought this up on, I think it was, on our Caleb and I's episode on The Descent we just did. I don't remember how it came up, but I read somewhere that Gary Oldman has never used the same accent twice his entire career. Every movie he's ever done, his voice is slightly different every time. That is fucking incredible.
I love that guy. What a treasure.
Yeah.
He's so damn good. We'll do Mank at some point on this show as its own episode. It's just, I love it so much. And it'd be fun to kind of, we've done Fight Club on this show. It'd be fun to do a very modern David Fincher movie and go down that rabbit hole again, because his filmography is obviously very special. And I think Mank is right there with all the others. It's not my favorite. I still love Zodiac more than the rest. And I adore Social Network, and I love Fight Club, and Seven is amazing, and Dragon Tattoo. But Mank is in that. It's properly in its place to me. It makes sense that Fincher made it. I love it. Yeah. Do you think is there any competition here for you with this category, or do you think Eric is definitely the winner? Because I definitely think he should have won.
I think so. I think the only one that really comes close to me, for me, is News of the World.
Okay, yeah,
which was a beautiful movie. But yeah, I totally agree with Messerschmidt taking this. This Mank, the way it's filmed to kind of not necessarily replicate old Hollywood, but kind of almost parody it is fucking great. Yeah, and a lot of that comes from the camera work. So yeah, definitely well done, Eric.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Film editing. We have The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and the winner, Sound of Metal. Yeah, absolutely. Sound of Metal. I think the best thing about Sound of Metal is how well the sound and film are edited. And it won both those Oscars. Well done.
Yeah. God, God, I love that movie too. Sound of Metal is fantastic. It's it's so unique. It makes itself its own kind of singular experience because of those things, like you said. Also, the sound editing, the sound in general, the decisions they made. You know, with Riz Ahmed's character Ruben, the way he's kind of dealing with this change, this like permanent change in his life. Using that emotion and that kind of traumatic experience, really, quite frankly, and then technically just kind of dominating the movie and making it this kind of world class technical movie is so cool and so special. And it doesn't happen that often where a film is so on top of those things while the story itself is just kind of pulverizing. And I have a lot of amazing things to say about that movie. I think it's awesome and totally deserves the praise it got and deserves all the recognition it got. I'll never forget when I watched it. This came out the same week as Mank through Amazon Prime. It came out on December 2nd and Mank was December 4th. And I was just in heaven. Just like, I feel at home. I get to sit at home and watch these on my couch. You know, this is almost a year ago, you know, and I think we're in different stages of how people are reacting to the pandemic and reacting to COVID than we were a year ago. And I felt very comfortable being on the couch watching movies. I had no problem with movies coming to the streamers. I've gotten back out to the theater a little bit more this year, not a whole lot, but you know, more times than last year, that's for sure. And gradually getting more comfortable with doing that again. But it didn't affect my experience in Sound of Metal. I just thought it was a masterclass kind of movie. And it did one of those rare things where I didn't speak the entire movie. You know, you're just like, what? And in your head, you're thinking of a million things, but you can't, you're just locked in. And it was on a, kind of fairly small TV in my living room. And it had that effect on me. You know, it's just really special. And those little things that are happening with the editing from Mikael G. Nielsen are just on another level. And I'm totally fine with it winning right here. While I like The Father, I like what's going on there. I love that Chloe Zhao kind of took it all on herself to kind of do everything in that movie. Friedrich Thoroval and Promising Woman, there's some really nice cuts in that movie. Charlotte Chicago 7, I'm not as big of a fan of how that one moves, but they all look cool and look like, grade A kind of movies, but Sound of Metal is its own kind of experience. And I like when movies like that get rewarded.
Yeah, so do I. I didn't expect this one to make a splash at the Oscars. I watched it and thought it was good. And then I was so jazzed when it just took off. And that would have happened in any random year. That would not have happened. If it was just a theater movie with all these other big splashy movies. Yeah. The fact that it was on Prime, the fact that it got this random kind of wave of people like, whoa, wait, this movie fucking kicks ass. Let's pay attention to it. I think that helped it tremendously, that it was just kind of right there in front of people to watch. And everyone that I've met that's seen it has been moved by it, has been stirred in some way. And that's always a good sign. I always, at least, for the past year, obviously, I think about what this Oscars would have looked like had there been no pandemic. What would it still be the same movies? Probably not. No. I guess no, because you would have had so many other things happening last year. Dune would have come out, French Dispatch would have come out. All these different films that were supposed to be 2020 movies that have moved to 2021, and are now a part of the current 94th Academy Awards, run. Which, ultimately we're going to look back and, people are going to look back in 50, 60 years and just like, well, it's not going to even be a thought. But for people like us who have lived through it, I agree with you, man. I think it would look way different. I think these 8 movies, I think maybe 4 of them just wouldn't be there in the Best Picture category. I think there's a few that are just, no matter what year they came out, the Academy's going to recognize them and put them in that Best Picture category. But Sound of Metal is on the forefront of that, of like, and Promising Woman, like, no way do those movies get the attention they got
if everything would have come out in 2020. I don't think so.
I have a differing opinion on that, but I'll save it.
Sound of Metal is one of my favorite movies of the entire year last year, and I have no problem admitting that I just don't think it would have made the waves it did if everything would have come out.
Yeah, it'll be one of those, great questions we'll never get to answer.
Yeah, I love thinking about that stuff, though.
I think the Father is my second pick here. The way that film is edited to, Anthony Hopkins' perspective to constantly keep you as confused as he is pretty brilliant and just so sad. But Sound of Metal accomplishes wonders with its editing, and I'm glad it took the Oscar.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The Father, great stuff. Definitely takes second place.
Best adapted screenplay. We've got Borat subsequent movie film. I'll never understand that. Nomadland, One Night in Miami, The White Tiger, and the winner, The Father. This is such an odd group of films. Borat, do you think, this movie doesn't exist without the pandemic.
Yeah, 100%.
But just both Borats scored best adapted screenplay nominations. And considering they're both like completely ad-libbed and built on, confusing and freaking people out, how does that happen?
I'm not quite sure. I also think that's why there's about 50 names credited here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, someone came up with a sentence every day. So we just ran with it that way. Whereas all of the other films have one person, it's Chloe Zhao, it's Kemp Powers, it's Ramin Bahraini, it's, Florian Zeller for The Father. It's just funny seeing Borat and it's got so many names credited for the screenplay. I don't know. There's got to be something going on there because in 2006 Borat also made its way into the conversation. There's got to be something going on there. Something's got to give. But I think The Father deserves this one. That one, rewatching that one, I fell in love with that one even more. I already liked it quite a bit, and just kind of validated that. I think its competition is One Night in Miami by Kemp Powers, but I don't know. I think this one was right. I also think it was really cool that Florian has this adoration for Anthony Hopkins. It was like, I need to write a character for this guy. I have to. Very cool. His kind of, little boy fandom for one of the greatest living actors, one of the greatest actors to ever live, quite frankly. And we feel that as fans, and knowing that the guy who wrote this, adapted this play, his own play, he has that same admiration. Very cool. I love that he won that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think The Father is the winner here. I have not seen The White Tiger. I never did watch that movie.
It's pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah, I think you dig that one, man. It's like kind of epic. It's kind of like an epic type movie type story. And I think I think this is one of the cases where you would probably respond to it more than I did. And I really liked it.
Okay. I'll put it on the list. Nomadland, I don't think deserves to be here. I think this film doesn't really have a screenplay. Or at least it's a very dull, not really exciting screenplay that I don't think matches up with the rest of this. One Night in Miami is just sharp, insightful dialogue the entire time. And The Father is a brilliantly sad story that just draws you in. Yeah, I think those are the only two that really had a chance at this one, and I'm glad it was The Father.
Me too. With Nomadland, it's so hard to know what came from the hearts of the actual van dwellers and what Chloe Zhao wrote down. Yeah. I would need to see in paper what did Chloe actually write, because there's a couple of bits of dialogue from Linda May and Swanky and Bob Wells that just destroy me, just basically light me on fire, and I'm like, fuck, I can't I can't even think about anything other than this old person who's speaking to my fucking heart right now. But that's probably them, that's probably more from their own mind, and Chloe saying, hey, let's get this out of you. That's more the job of the director than the writer. I'm very curious as to what she actually wrote down for Nomadland. If she wrote those little like monologues from each of them, then fucking A, that's some serious talent. But I doubt that she wrote all of that. I think it was more of a collaborative experience in Nomadland, and much more of a, hey, what have you lived through? How can we adapt this to the screen? I also want to read the book. I want to read Jessica's book so I can see maybe some of this is really from the actual book and actual dialogue from the book, and Chloe went ahead and wrote it to paper for the movie. I don't know. I think this one, there's too many question marks around Nomadland's script, and if it was ad-libbed or not, and what was going on. Same thing as Borat. It's like, wait a minute, how is this a proper screenplay? I kind of need to see it. The other three are proper screenplays based on something. Two of them, the ones that we like the most, are from people's own play. Yeah. It's Kent Powers doing his own play and Florian Zeller doing his own play. So it makes sense that those two kind of stuck out to us.
I think you cut Nomadland and Borat and you give those spots to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Hillbilly Elegy, personally.
I would have to look more at the year to see kind of what I think, but I Ma Rainey's was very effective. Very, very good shout.
Yeah. So that takes us to the winners. We've got Best Director. We have Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and the winner, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. If there was any sure thing at this awards, it was this one. Like, she won everything. Like, yeah, the Globe, the SAG, the BAFTA, whatever the fuck. I don't know what they were, but I know that she won everything.
Yeah, she did.
So this was, we were just kind of waiting for them to say her name. But personally, I would have given this to Fincher, looking back.
I'm Team Vinterberg all the way. I'd be okay with any of these people winning.
Yeah,
they're all kind of doing something special, something very different. Lee Isaac Chung and Minari, good heavens, the control. You're watching a guy who's been an incredible filmmaker for a long time finally kind of get the proper recognition on the western part of the world. In Minari, just one of the most American movies I've ever seen in my life, and it's incredible. His control throughout that movie is incredible. Fincher, like you said, Fincher's doing all of his little tricks while doing something different from his own filmography that we haven't seen before. Emerald Fennell in Promising Young Woman. Here's someone who she's demanding your attention. She's like, I'm here to stay. I won the proper screenplay award, and I'm also an incredible director. It's very cool to see two women in the same group. But Thomas Vinterberg, this is a guy hanging out with his friends and making a film, and you can fucking tell. You can see it. You can see the camaraderie. You can see the understanding of this kind of wacky story of these teachers that decide to just drink and stay at a certain percentage throughout the day, and then they start pushing it, and it becomes a different outcome for each of them. And his connection to Mads Mikkelsen is everything you want from a director. It's like that stuff you see with Scorsese and De Niro and DiCaprio. It's like, we understand each other better than the movie understands itself. And it's so fucking cool to witness. But Chloe Zhao, like I was just talking about, there has to be something about that screenplay and about that book and about these people who really live this life for her to, whatever she did to get through to the Bob Wells, to the Linda Mays, to the Swankies, to get through to them, to be honest, to be vulnerable, and speak about their own, you know, their own lives, their own experiences. That's huge. That's fucking massive to make people feel comfortable enough to do that for a movie. And because it is not filmed like a documentary, it just seems that way because it's like, well, these people are just kind of speaking from the heart. That's hats off to her job as a director, as she's in control. She's in the big chair. She's calling all the shots. She's also the writer and the editor. I think she does a damn good job with Nomadland and kind of never taking it to a place where it becomes so exploitative that you're kind of uncomfortable. She like hones in on a lot of stuff, and her patience is fucking amazing. She's got me really interested in seeing her past films. You know, I really want to see The Rider. I'm ashamed I haven't seen that one yet. She clearly has some kind of grace about her that people respect, whether they're actors or real life people that are playing themselves. And I respect that. I really do. I think that's got to be hats off to her. But my vote would be Thomas Vinterberg. I think Another Round is just so goddamn special, and I love that you have seen it because I sound like a crazy person, you know, on the podcast till the other person's like, "Oh yeah, the movie is good."
Yeah, I get it. Another Round was fantastic. I enjoyed that a lot. And really, this is anyone's award. This is a great bunch here.
Yeah.
But you know, it really comes down to personal preference, and I think that Mank is just a much more enjoyable movie. But then again, you know, if Fincher had won that, then people would be like, you know, he should have taken it for The Social Network or something like that. So there's no win here.
Yeah,
for Fincher.
No, that's true. Go back to Mindhunter or something, man. You can't win over here.
I do want to point out, where the hell is Mank in the screenplay category? Like, I can't believe it didn't get anything.
Yeah, that took some heat. That screenplay took some heat, and I don't understand it. I think it's fantastic. It's such an ode to family and to passions in film. You know, David Fincher was able to be on set and meet George Lucas and meet Spielberg and meet these guys at a young age, and it shows now his kind of recognition to cinema's history and cinema's past. Yeah. And I think the screenplay being, like you said, his father who passed away, it like speaks volumes to Fincher, to David as a person, to David as an artist, and paying respect to like what's come before him. And that goes hand in hand with his work and his father's work on the screenplay. I'm with you. I think it's lightning quick. I think it, you know, is Amanda Seyfried and Gary Oldman just totally understand what they're going for, and it worked. It worked very well on me.
Just like the scene where Louis B. Mayer is taking Mank's brother on a tour of MGM, and he talks about how, you know, like every star is replaceable here. You know, like, you know, some forgot that, and now they twinkle elsewhere. Little things like that. Like, God, I love it. I was smiling the whole time on my rewatch with Mank.
Hell yeah, me too, man. Me too. And it's long. It's a long ass movie, but I just don't give a shit. It's so much fun.
Best actress. We have this is a great bunch of actresses here. Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman, and the winner, of course, Frances McDormand for Nomadland. It was a big upset when Andra Day won the Globe for this. And that kind of made me think like, ooh, they might not be giving Frances a third, but they did. And it's cool for history, but I think that there were more deserving women here.
I think so too. I'm with you. Andra Day, she does a great job in that movie, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. I don't like when movies that aren't great are in these categories. While yes, it's technically a performance category and she's great in it, I just think that movie has the biopic syndrome and it just kind of doesn't know exactly where to go. Mulligan is fantastic. Viola Davis is just doing her thing. She's just one of the best people we have. My vote's Vanessa Kirby. Piece of Woman is earth shattering, and what she does alone in the first 15 20 minutes of the movie, spoiler, hopefully you've seen this, it's on Netflix, when the baby is lost, like there's no one in this group that's touching what she does in that like 5 10 15 minutes. She's fucking unbelievable, and she takes it all the way to the end. She goes toe to toe with Ellen Burstyn and just wrecks her, just like knocks her out. Ellen Burstyn's like, I'm ready to go, 12 rounds. And Vanessa Kirby's like, no, you aren't, bitch. Like, I'm fucking knocking your ass out. And then she does a great job at the end, in the courtroom scenes. And it's just, to me, perfect. It's a perfect performance. And she's not going anywhere. She will be back. Vanessa Kirby will be back.
Yeah, no arguments here. She's fantastic. But I know I've been defending this movie since day one. Carey Mulligan should have walked away with gold for this. Her performance in Promising Young Woman is so fucking visceral and flinching and unforgiving that I just love it. To me, it's a flawless revenge thriller that earns its position here. And I know I'm not I know I'm on an island with that, but I don't care. Nothing changed in my opinion of this movie with this rewatch. If anything, it got strengthened, because now, once you know what's coming, when you know how this film ends, it is so much more devastating watching this happen, watching it unfold the way it does. And I think Carey Mulligan is such an underappreciated, underrated actress that watching her take home a statue for this would have been really satisfying.
Yeah. I think we differ on this film the most from this ceremony.
Yep.
Second time watching it, I like it a little bit more, but I'm still not really. I wouldn't call myself a fan of it, but I'm a fan of Carey Mulligan in it. She's special. I'm a huge fan of what she's doing, like movies like Shame and Drive. Like, she's just been doing amazing stuff for like 10, 12 years now. I'm just not quite sure what to think about the movie and what it's trying to say exactly. And I get really confused with some of the turns, but it looks pretty crazy. It's kind of like it's kind of like, what's the word? It's fucking shiny. When you're watching it, you're like, holy shit, this is fucking like glaring at me. This movie is just fucking coming at me. And Carey Mulligan does such a good job of not being, she kind of counters it. She's not too showy herself. She's just fucking rolling with the punches and kind of punching back. And I really like what she's doing in the movie. I just don't know what I feel about the movie as a whole. So it's kind of stayed in the same realm as the first time I watched it. I was like, what was that? What was going on there? And then this time I like a lot of I love Bo Burnham is awesome in it. He's fucking amazing in this movie. And there's other kind of small roles in it, of all the guys that she kind of fucking lures. Those are all really clever, and they're kind of on the nose, but they're fucking clever. And I like that about it. But as a whole film, we just differ on it. I think there's a couple in this Best Picture group that we just feel differently about. And we're going to find that out real soon.
It's going to take a full fucking episode devoted to Promising Young Woman for me to really unpack everything I like about this movie, and for you to unpack everything you don't. And I want to do that so bad.
I don't know. I don't even know how to. I don't know. I'm just confused by it. I'm confused by it. So I would love to do that. I would love to just open the floor and let you speak what you feel about it. I've read a lot of reviews about it on Letterboxd, because it's one of those movies that's just split down the middle. Like, people either really love it, or people are just like, what is this horse shit? And I love that when that happens on Letterboxd, I get so happy. That same thing happened with Malcolm and Marie, where people were just like, this is amazing. Or they were like, what the fuck did I just watch? And I'm one of those rare people who's just in the middle, who's just kind of like, okay, I like some of it. Some of it I'm confused by, and I don't exactly know why. And the one thing I know about it is Carey Mulligan is worth your time. She's worth every second she's on the screen. And that's why she's in the group, with these amazing other women. So that's your vote. I'm Team Kirby. Sorry, Mrs. McDormand, Mrs. Cohen. You're a legend, but I'm not quite sure that this was the one that should have gotten you the third gold trophy. And she might get a fourth at some point. So that kind of sucks, because then you look back and you're like, well, maybe Carrie never gets that chance again. Maybe Vanessa never gets that chance again, or Andra Day, I think Viola Davis is going to get plenty of chances, but you never know with these performance categories, because they're only 5. You just never know when you're going to get there again.
Well, I mean, technically, Frances has she does have 4, because she did win for producing Nomadland.
Yeah.
But I get your point.
Yeah. Perform. I think it's going to happen, man. I think she's just got so much left in the tank.
She might fucking win for Macbeth, honestly. Like, it could happen next year.
Exactly. It could happen any given year with her. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh. So that takes us to Best Picture, the big one.
Hell yeah.
We have
get to rank these bad boys.
Oh, yes. The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and of course the winner, Nomadland. Does it deserve Best Picture? 8 months on. Let's see. Let's rank these bastards.
Yeah. We'll go 8-1. I'll let you start with your 8, and I'll follow suit, and we'll kind of figure out what we think about this category and these movies that are cemented forever in Oscar history.
I think I know what your 8 is, and I think you know what mine is.
I actually don't know what your 8 is. I'm kind of curious, because I definitely know if you've listened to me before, you know what my 8 is. Yeah.
My 8 is Nomadland.
Okay. Number 8.
Yeah.
Last place. This doesn't happen very often.
Let's be fair here. This is the worst of the best. Like, there are no bad movies here, in my opinion. It's just what I think is better.
Fair enough.
And Nomadland, I do think, just doesn't have enough to warrant a second watch, in my opinion. Like, to me, it's a one and done. Okay, great. What's next kind of movie. And I think that it would have benefited from being a documentary. I think telling this story as a true account of real American lives would have been so much stronger and so much more powerful. And like you said, this does kind of feel like exploitation.
Yeah.
So with all that, I do not think this film should have taken Best Picture. I think it was the safe choice after giving it to Parasite last time, because that's what happens with the Oscars. They'll give it to a weird movie, and then they'll give it to a safe bet. That happens so often. If it's after Shape of Water, they give it to Green Book.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I noticed with the Oscars, and I don't like when they do that. I wish that they would actually, first off, watch the whole movie. That shouldn't be too much to ask.
No, it shouldn't.
And yeah, just I think about it a little bit more. Don't subscribe to the hype. I think that happens. And Nomadland just is not that amazing to me.
I like it. Fair enough. Yeah, this is we've discussed many times in the past, over the past year, that this group is overall pretty good. It's a pretty good group here. We've done years on here that have a couple of just straight up duds that are just like not worth your time, not worth the shit, just boring, stupid, nothing to say, bad writing, bad performances. And we're just like, what was that? Why is that here? Just the last one we did, we had Nicholas and Alexandra, where it's just, are you serious? In my opinion, that movie just doesn't come anywhere near these 8 movies. And that's cool. While I always want it to be just 5 movies in the Best Picture category, that is cool that there are 8 movies worth talking about. And that's always nice. All right, my number 8. You know where I'm going here. It's Aaron Sorkin's Trial of the Chicago 7.
Oh, okay. I was wrong.
Oh, you were. Oh, I thought you knew for sure that this. Yeah, I don't really care for this movie too much. I remember watching it. I remember think it was in November when it came out, and so just about a year ago, and it's through Netflix, and sat down and I was like, okay, we got a good fast paced, typical kind of historical drama introduction here, kind of bouncing around. We're learning about these different people that are involved in what we're about to see. And whenever it started really getting going, I was like, okay, this is okay. There's some decent performances in this. And then it ended and I was like, okay, that felt misguided. It felt like Sorkin was just like, fuck it. I think there's good bits in the screenplay, just like Sorkin always kind of does. But I think his directing is just not very good. I don't think that's not in his bag. I don't see what separates this from other courtroom dramas from the past 50 years. And I think Eddie Redmayne is almost appalling in this movie in his performance, because his accent is like, dude, you're not really even trying. Sacha Baron Cohen is playing a guy who's like 25 years younger than him, and it shows because he's got wrinkles on his face, and this guy was like in his 20s. Abby Hoffman. So I don't know. The only part that I was ready for on the rewatch and I got excited for was when Michael Keaton shows up. That's my favorite bit from the movie. This lowered from a 7 to a 6 for me. I just don't really respond to it. I don't really like it. I think I misjudged Frank Langella's performance. I think he's just doing what we expect him to do in this movie. I first thought he was kind of incredible in it. I thought he should have got a nomination. I think I was wrong. And that's kind of why you rewatch movies. If anyone's going to get a nomination from this movie, it's Mark Rylance. He is bringing the heat. He's really trying. I think he is really going for the Sorkin stuff. But again, overall, it's 130 minutes. It's over 2 hours, and I don't think it needs to be. And I don't feel moved by it. I also, while it's not totally my place to say what's right and what's wrong about this story, I think their use of the Black Panthers in this movie is almost disrespectful. I think, just kind of just putting them in it for like a bit part is just a bit wrong. And I think a movie later on in the year kind of fucking frog, it did a little Frogger thing. It just jumped right over it, leapfrogged it. And now I don't see any need to watch this one when I have the other one.
To be fair, the reason the Black Panthers are kind of in this movie is because the Black Panthers were kind of in the trial. They were like, Bobby Seale became part of that story simply because they wanted a black man in the group so they would look scarier. And it's fucked up, but that part of the story is minimal because his involvement was minimal. So I get that.
That's fair. I think Sorkin mishandles it pretty bad. I think he shows now with Molly's Game and with this, he just directing and I just don't think is his best trait. Obviously, he's a great writer. Obviously, he knows how to write stuff for the big screen. I just don't. I don't know. I think he mishandles stuff.
Fair enough. I wholeheartedly disagree with everything you just said, but I am okay with you saying it.
All right, so we'll get to that one later on your list, I assume.
much later, yes.
All right, what's your number 7?
My number 7 may come as a shock to you, but again, I want to say there are no bad movies here, just better ones. My number 7 pick is Minari.
Oh, shot to the heart.
I knew this was coming. I knew I'm prepared for this.
No. Yeah, you like the whole group,
Yes, I do. There's nothing lower than an 8 on this scale here.
Okay, yeah, I got a couple lower than that, but then there's quite a few 8s, yeah.
And Minari, I don't really have any problems with it. It's just at times it is a bit of it does drag. I feel like Nomadland, there are a lot of times during Minari where I'm kind of just waiting for something to happen. And that's no fault of anyone but, my own preference. I have no beef with this movie. I just think the other 6 are significantly more entertaining, exciting, and memorable. And that's my case.
Fair enough. Yeah, that'll be showing up later. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Let's see. My number 7 is probably what you expected to be my number 8, and it's Promising Young Woman. Already spoke a bit about it. I don't I don't totally connect with it. It's still a 7 for me. It's still, I think it's worth watching. I think it's Carey Mulligan, if anything, is worth your time. I'm not quite sure I understand it or connect with it very much. And personally, there's quite a few movies I would put above Trial and Promising Woman, like Another Round, Never Really, Sometimes Always, First Cow. I think all those movies are just much more, and that might just be because they're much more up my alley, movies I connect with a lot more.
Yeah, fair enough. They can't all be winners. But to some people, they are winners. But we'll get to that. I think that I feel like our top 8s are like flipped at the ends and similar in the middle.
Well, yeah, we'll see. What's your number 6?
My number 6, and going forward, these are all like 6 through 3 are pretty interchangeable. This was really tough to kind of rank here, but number 6 is The Father.
That's my number 6 too.
All right, cool. This movie is a brilliant depiction of an Alzheimer's patient and the mental gymnastics one has to take when diagnosed with that horrific disease. Anthony Hopkins is absolutely phenomenal. I know a lot of people consider his Oscar win unearned because of the way they did it at the show. I'll never for the life of me understand why they did that. But if it hadn't happened that way, if Best Picture had been at the end, like it always has been for the past 92 Oscars, this is totally earned. Anthony Hopkins was lights out. Olivia Colman is fantastic. The score is beautiful. The story is so sad. The ending, it's impossible not to cry. It's a lights out good movie, and I'm glad it was included.
Yeah, me too, man. This is a powerful one. From here, 6 to 1, I really like these movies. The Father is a must see. Anthony Hopkins, it's just crazy that this guy still has it. Just has talent oozing out of him still. And he's one of those guys that we don't know how long he's going to keep going. So you gotta appreciate it while it's here. Have to embrace greatness while it's here. So Father's awesome. Rewatching that was just an experience. I'll say that. I really like it. Olivia Colman is fucking amazing in that movie too, and it's one that I would like to own. It's a good quality movie. My grandma had Alzheimer's for the last 8 years of her life, and by the end of her life, she was just rolling around in her wheelchair, rolling into the wall and not speaking. And when a movie tackles something like that head on and takes it seriously, I usually respond to it, just as a fan of art from pain, art from traumatic experience. And the Father's really good. And I'm with you. I think The Father on any given day could be 4 or 5, in my rankings. But today it's number 6.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear about your grandma. I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. It was my mom's mom, Melba Rose Stone. She was a great Texan lady, and taught me a whole lot in the time that she was still very with it. But she passed away 8 years ago now. So it's been a good while, and I still have those memories of her, which is very special. And those memories of like her, let's go get donuts for dinner. She was that kind of grandma who's like, let's just party. Let's just have some fun. And that stuff's important. When people put that into whatever art they're doing, and that shit matters a lot. And the father, you can feel it. You can feel it. You're like, this comes from a place of authenticity, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that Anthony Hopkins was able to channel that. I think he's in his 80s.
Yeah,
and in the past few years, he's done like The Father, Westworld, The Two Popes. Like he's in a fucking second wind, and he is knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, he's hit like his 9th gear. He just keeps fucking keeps going.
I honestly believe he could play Hannibal Lecter again tomorrow, and the movie would still be incredible.
He could be scarier. Yeah, yeah. That guy's lights out. It's really crazy that movie's 30 years old. Silence of the Lambs, kind of the one that was like, no, he's here and he's here to stay. Sir Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, very cool.
Fantastic. So that was your 6 as well.
Yes.
Okay, so my number 5 is Sound of Metal.
Hell yeah, let's go.
As I said, this is just a very powerful movie about a sort of loss a lot of us don't think about. What if all of a sudden tomorrow you couldn't hear anymore?
Yeah, I'd be fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gone. Like there is no more podcast. Like you have to completely change your entire life. And it hits this guy, Ruben, a heavy metal drummer, especially hard because his entire life revolves around music. And to not hear music anymore, what a fucking curse.
After getting it for like 30 years. Yeah. Fuck.
And then, him finding the deaf community and ultimately betraying them is so horrifying. The scene that cements it for me is when he's trying to convince Paul Raci's character, whose name escapes me.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
When he's trying to convince him to give him money for the surgery. And the guy tells him, "You're talking to me like a junkie."
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man. It's hard to know who's right here, because yes, Paul Raci's character has found peace with this. Ruben clearly has not. Is it ultimately his decision? Does he owe something to this community? There's no right answer here. And it's just heartbreaking. And Riz Ahmed, Jesus Christ, does he knock it out of the park? What a great performance. I was blown away by this. I almost didn't watch this just because I didn't care. And ultimately, I think you're the one who told me, like, you got to check this out. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Paul Raci's character's name is Joe. That scene. Oh boy. It's something to behold. And Riz Ahmed's like, it just doesn't fucking matter. We just keep going. He's like, everybody fucking dies. Like, it doesn't matter. He's like, if I'm gone, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? And and Joe's like, Joe does the, he pulls his mouth like the sign language for junkie. And like, oh man, dude, like that's something else. Yeah, good stuff. I'll definitely be talking about that one soon. So that's your number 5. Okay, my number 5 is Nomadland, the Best Picture winner. This is nitty gritty. This is hard. These 5 were very hard to separate. Very hard to. I ultimately had to just kind of break everything down and just kind of imagine what sometimes I do with movies, especially movies that are this close, and I'm trying to rank them because I love ranking things and I love making lists. I usually put myself, this might sound a little bit psychotic, but I'll put myself in like a white room, like in my mind, nothing else is going on. And I imagine each movie, in this case, Nomadland, just coming at me. Like there's nothing else that's going on around me. I'm just in this like blank space, and all that matters is Nomadland. And I imagine which one is hitting me the hardest. And that's how I kind of try to figure out with performances or with movies themselves, try to figure out which one is more important to me and which one do I like better. And we've both spoken on Oscar Sunday about how the best thing you can do as someone who's talking about art or talking about things that you enjoy, your passions, is to let that just fucking ride it out as hard as it can into the sunset. Because if you try to conform and be like other quote unquote movie critics or, you know, music critics or art critics, whatever category you're looking at, you're just going to sound the same as other people. And if you want to have that individuality in your statements and in your passions and your feelings about something, you have to let that just like ride as far as it can go. And these are difficult. From here on out, they're very difficult. I'd say The Father is just slightly behind these other five. But these right here I love these movies, man. From here on out, I love these movies. In Nomadland, I was floored by it. Watching it when I was watching it last night, I should have been going to bed. It was really late. I stayed up late watching the again, this is Wednesday night that we're recording this. I stayed up really late watching Game 6 of the World Series because I got really into the Atlanta Braves. I got really into their run, and they had their best player get injured back in July, and they were like kind of the Cinderella type story that I just wanted to witness. And so I was watching Game 6 of them. They beat the Astros last night, and I was watching that, and that lasted until like 11:30. I was like, okay, I should probably start winding down, but I was like, oh no, I gotta watch Nomadland, you know. And I forgot about everything. I forgot the Braves one. I forgot I had work that day. I was just in Nomadland. I was in Fern's world. I was in Chloe Zhao's hands, and I really responded to it. I was crying during some of the. I'll save that for my awards, but I was crying during some of the dialogue. Just fucking rocked me out of my fucking. I was sitting on my bed, and I was like sweating. I was like, God damn it, and that's huge, you know. But I'm also with you on that. Nomadland lacks something overall. It lacks. There should be something in this movie. If it's not going to be a straight up documentary, there should be something driving it a bit more. And because of that, it's not quite. I don't like it quite as much as these other ones. But I really responded to it. I moved it from a 4 stars to 4.5 stars in Letterboxd. I would definitely say it's an 8 to a 9 now. I just really dig some of the stuff going on. And I like fucking Swanky, dude. Swanky is like one of my favorite people to ever be in any movie. Just fucking shatters my mind. And it had to kind of, I had to like really think about where it is. Ultimately, these other 4 movies just mean a bit more to me, which is saying a lot because I like this one.
Yeah, you're right. That does sound psychotic, but
yeah,
I agree with it. I agree. I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's a special kind of psychotic.
Indeed.
It's odd to me that like they hold a funeral for Swanky in the movie. Like the character dies.
Yeah.
But the real Swanky, I don't think is dead.
No.
And she's a real person.
Yeah.
So it's like
real weird. Yeah.
The line is so fucking blurred. It's hard to know where to stand on this.
Exactly. And that's like what's fascinating about it, but also kind of like, oh, I don't want to go near it. It's like, I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole because and Letterboxd will tell you, you know, it'll tell you there's people who just fucking hate this movie's guts because of that part of it, that part of, look at these poor people, you know, look at these poor people on this Hollywood production. And I get that argument, but I can't help but feel pretty floored by the experience itself and some of the work that Chloe's doing. So I like it a lot.
I don't hate it. You know, there's very few things even out there that I hate.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people that are just fucking angry that talk about movies. They're just angry before anything can even be said.
That's no way to live your life. That's no way. You can't have hate just constantly poisoning everything that you care about. You can't have that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
just
you'll never be
out
happy.
of you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, everything you said makes sense. I get why you stand behind this one. Number 4 for me is Mank.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah, I've already spoken at length about how much I love this movie.
It's so good. When Gary Oldman is like, well, there's a few times he's pissed drunk, but there's the one where his belly is just showing. You can just see Gary Oldman's big old belly, and he's just there's someone taking off his shoes for him and trying to make him comfortable on the bed, and he's like, he's just being Gary Oldman.
It's got to be nice, at least in your own head, to firmly believe that you're a genius, because to know that no one else comes close, that you are the best, and he just rides that high the entire movie of just no one's opinion matters more than mine unless I say so.
Yeah
It's really just a joy to watch. And also just to know exactly how little Orson Welles had to do with Citizen Kane. That was a real shock to me.
Yeah. That his performance is amazing in it, right? But the genius of the background of Citizen Kane comes from this just fucking drunk.
Cranked this out in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Because he had a deadline.
Yeah. So amazing. Good. I love Mank. God, it's so good. Like you said, we've spoken about it quite a bit already. It's hard to kind of pass up when it comes about. I'll just talk about Mank all day. It's so good. So funny. So informative.
Yeah.
And features. I think Gary Oldman, it's one of like my 3 or 4 favorite performances of 2020, of 2021. He's just lights out. He's doing stuff that other people can't even fathom doing in that movie. It's awesome.
My favorite moment is when Louis B. Mayer is trying to convince his workforce to give up to have their salaries because they're going through a tough time right now. And he's pleading. He's like, you have the sacred word of LB Mayer. And like, if you know anything about classic Hollywood, you know how much of a piece of shit Louis B. Mayer was. And after that, he gets like a standing ovation from his loyal workforce. And as he's walking away, Mank turns to his brother and says something like, that's not even the most disgraceful thing I've seen.
Yeah. No, it's the awareness within the movie that this world that we've created, this movie world, this industry is so fucked. it's knowing that. And Fincher, like you said, it's kind of a parody. It's kind of making fun of it while also paying homage. And he's just stepping on that line, just like just fucking, just kind of dodging it. And I love it. I love it so much. It's a fascinating movie. And when people say it's boring, I'm just like, well, you just do whatever. I don't have much to say.
If you didn't like Citizen Kane, odds are you're not going to like the movie about Citizen Kane.
Yeah. There you go.
I've heard so many people tell me Citizen Kane is boring. And I'm like, I just want to tell them, like, did you watch it? Yeah. Or have you just heard what people have said about it? Because if you sit down and watch that movie, it's anything but boring.
Yeah, it's actually like wicked fast and very entertaining. And does the time jumping better than like anything. Better than any movie, going from interviews in the present to the past to just like, what? The movie's fucking bonkers and all over the place. Yeah. I think people have their presumptions and their preconceived ideas about something like Citizen Kane. They're like, I'm going to not like this because everybody says it's the best movie ever. And then you have people on the other side who are like, I'm going to love this before I even get to know what it is. And I hate both of those.
both ends of that spectrum are dipshits I want nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But also our generation, for some reason, just despises black and white films. There's a big part of that.
For sure. It's pretty rare that you find someone who's going to seek someone in their 20s who's, and there, there's a lot of us out there, but there's more than there are. There's more that are against it than there are that like want to seek that stuff out and watch old movies and not care about it being black and white or in color, because that just has never bothered me one bit. And it's because of modern movies that have taken that made that decision. Movies like Francis Ha and Roma. When they make that conscious decision to be black and white, it really allows you to watch something modern and new with this lens that is just so about the past and define the past, and it makes it really easy for you to watch old stuff. You're like, oh, I'm used to this. Same with like subtitles with foreign movies. People are just like, I don't want to read. You don't want to read, so you literally are admitting that you just want to eat fucking popcorn and be entertained. Like, okay, cool, but some of us want to like gain something out of watching the movie.
Yeah. And I enjoy walking in both worlds. I enjoy getting popcorn and just watching Spider-Man swing around New York City, while also, I'm looking forward to House of Gucci the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just, entertainment to me.
Exactly. And knowing that you can have different caps on while you're watching each thing, and that's important. I love them all. I like every form of it. So
yep.
So that's both our number 4. I love that.
Yeah. So I guess that's my 3.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, my top 3 probably might not surprise you. It might upset you.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm doing just by what you've named. I know the 3 that are left, and a couple of them were in the back for me.
You're not gonna like the order. Number 3 is Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's my number 3.
And I want to be very clear. This movie is fucking spectacular. My favorite performance of the year is Daniel Kaluuya in this movie.
It's the best. Shit. Yeah, it's the best.
I'm so glad that he's like fairly new in his just starting in his career. He's already got gold, and it was for the right movie. I mean, just giving Fred Hampton speeches, he brings this unbelievable energy and realism to it. I believe I'm watching Fred Hampton. It's fucking crazy. And Lakeith Stanfield's no slouch either. They're both amazing together. And this is a very honest and brutal film about a story, like about a man who I was never taught about in school, a man who was almost wiped out of history because of the way the education system's designed to, against activists like him. And I'm so glad this movie taught me about Fred Hampton and gave me a very powerful film to kind of carry with me going forward, which is nice. I was absolutely jazzed by this one.
Yes. We haven't really talked about this one at all because it doesn't appear in the categories that Nomadland appeared in, which is a damn shame. Shaka King is doing a wonderful job with this movie. It's like you're watching a 70s, crime thriller, but it's biopic, and it's one of the more important American figures. Definitely one of the most absurd, travesties of the past, 100 years, and maybe just flat out in America's existence. It's a flat out execution of someone who is 21 years old, and because they're scared of what he could do and the numbers that he could raise up and how smart he was and how he wasn't just fight fire with fire. He was, let's fight fire with our fucking brains. Let's fucking go at them from all angles. Let's figure out how, yes, to step up and be violent when we need to be violent, but let's also step up in the right places. We need hospitals, we need food, we need different things that normal people get. We're considered not normal. So let's figure out a way to kind of bridge that gap. And I think it's just a spectacular movie. It's very important. It's to me the one out of all of these that just simply had to be made. This movie at some point had to be made. The story of Fred Hampton had to be told. And the decision to do it through Bill O'Neill, very fascinating. I think it's tough, some of the stuff that goes on with Bill O'Neill, it's really tough to like really kind of wrap your head around, and the fact that he took his own life, it adds a whole nother layer to it. And they just kind of just throw that on at the end. Like, oh yeah, because you're so immersed into this movie and into this story from the late 60s. But there's something about it that has a pace that nothing else has anymore. You really have to go back to like 70s and 80s American cinema to find this pace. You have to go back to, like William Friedkin. You're like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Shaka King. And when can we get more? When can we get more of this pace of a movie? And like you said, Daniel Kaluuya it's not just the best of the year. It's one of the best performances I've ever laid my eyes on.
Yeah.
The speech, the famous scene, the way it's filmed, the way he carries himself is very, very good. He doesn't look a whole lot like Fred Hampton, but he carries himself the exact same way. That's always the most important part of playing someone who's real. Hampton died when he's 21, and Daniel Kaluuya, I believe, is 31 right now. So there's this age gap where I think it would have been really cool to find someone the same age. But that's what's special about Fred Hampton is you can't find a 21-year-old like him. You cannot find a 21-year-old who can carry himself like that. Daniel Kaluuya has been seasoned. Daniel Kaluuya is a guy who's from the slums of London and understands what it's like to be stepped on and to be disregarded and to be treated with just nasty, nasty racism. He is the guy for this part, and he fucking crushed it. I mean, there's just not a whole lot more you can say about it. It's why I wanted to rewatch it. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I get to see Kaluuya just putting on a show in this movie. And then I forgot how well it moved. I was like, God damn, some of the shots in this movie and when they're in the car and you're riding with them and you kind of know what Bill O'Neill's up to, and you're like, oh, fuck, man, like this is just crazy. Just a crazy story. And it's fucking real. It's, it's very true to what happened. And it's on some days it'd be my favorite from this group. It really is just an incredible feat. And if you haven't seen it, get the hell out of here and go watch that movie. It is without a doubt to me the most important movie from this group. You just have to see it. It had to be made. And I'm glad Shaka King did it, man. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Oh yeah, big time. If you want more in-depth analysis on this movie in particular, we did do this on the sneak preview months ago, episode 7. The sneak preview. Yeah. So go back and check that out. We loved it then, we love it now. It's a fantastic film.
I guess that and Nomadland, we did both of those around the same time.
Yep. And is that all we? Yeah. We mentioned The Father and we mentioned Minari, but they didn't get full episodes.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, you're right. Oh, wow. I think Nomadland and Judas were back to back. Isn't that crazy?
Jesus.
Yeah, they were. It went Pieces of a Woman, One Night in Miami, The Little Things, what a piece of shit. Malcolm and Marie, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, and then United States vs. Billie Holiday. And then Moxie. Moxie was fun, man.
Moxie.
Yeah, fuck. I forgot about that one.
I miss when it was just like 1 or 2 movies coming out a week where I could kind of just watch everything. Now there's like 5 or 6 and most of them suck.
Yeah.
Sneak preview has become the most difficult part of my life, but I love it.
Yeah, it has to be here, it has to be here. Talking about the current state of film is why you get those random Judas and the Black Messiahs and the Nomadlands, and the Zack Snyder cut Justice League.
Oh boy. Yeah, Judas is fantastic. I definitely, go see it. So that was your 3 as well.
Correct. So yeah, now we're down to the top 2.
My number 2 is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Let's hear it. Why do you like this movie still?
I am a sucker for a courtroom drama.
I know.
I'm a sucker for Sorkin's writing. Even if his directing is shit, that screenplay outshines it every second of that movie. The ensemble, regardless, I don't give a fuck about age discrepancy. I never have in film. So I just love the ensemble. The story is so powerful and relatively unknown to our generation. And I love that we got a spotlight on it. I love movies that tell stories I didn't know. That's a big thing for me because, as a history buff, it encourages me to go look up the truth and find out, like, Jesus, like, how did I miss this? And I just think this film nails it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I really don't. This movie was moving. It made me cry. The ending is beautiful, naming the names of all the people who died in Nam while this travesty is taking place. I mean, come on.
Good touch.
And it's just the back and forth between this evil fucking judge and this team of people who were never given a fair shake. They were declared guilty before they even walked in there is powerful and it's potent and it's timely. And I think it's a near masterpiece. I really liked this movie and I liked it even more on the second viewing. It's a solid 9 for me. Might go up if I watch it a third time.
Wow. Yeah. That's the one I think we differ the most on, it's my number 8 and is the one I would take out if I could put other stuff in. I wonder what it is because I hear all the things you're saying and I don't disagree. Obviously, like you said, you don't care about age discrepancy. I normally don't. Like, Kaluuya's 10 years older than Fred Hampton. It's so glaring with Sacha Baron Cohen because he's like 55. It's just like, dude, Abby Hoffman was like 20 something. And
True. But I didn't know who Abby Hoffman was when I watched this movie. So it didn't bother me. Okay.
That's fair. I knew a little bit about this. This is my favorite. My favorite thing in the world is late 60s, early 70s, United States of America. Just pure shit that's happening and the art that comes out of it. I find it to be such a captivating time and so similar to what we've gone through recently in the past year or so. And I think Trial of Chicago 7. I think I just have my main issues lie with. It feels like Sorkin is filming his screenplay and not a movie, and I think that's where my biggest problem is.
What do you mean by that?
I think he's just putting guys in a place and saying, like, read my amazing writing instead of really trying to craft a movie. I think that's my main problem.
Fair enough, but
I think it happens in Molly's Game too.
In his defense, he did write a fucking amazing screenplay, and I wouldn't want anyone improvising on my work either like that if I was that good.
No, I don't. No, not improvising. I just don't think there's I don't think there's a whole movie there. I think it'd probably be better suited as a book.
I don't know. I also don't see it with Eddie Redmayne. I thought he was great.
Yeah, I can't handle him in this movie. I can't. I just get really frustrated. I also am not a huge fan of his. So yeah, there's just differences in our fandom with this movie. I've praised Sorkin plenty of times through our shows, and I mean I can't ever take away some of the stuff he's done, but this is just not one of my favorites. Definitely not.
Well, that's a shame. What's your 2?
My number 2 is Minari.
Yep.
So we know what our number 1s are. Minari. Good God, just one of the better American dream movies I've ever seen. It's the most subtle movie out of all of these. The most calm, most controlled movie of all these, in my opinion, and moves about a way that's so mature. And Lee Isaac Chung is, again, one of those guys that people are like, who's this? And it's like, well, he's been around for a long time. You're just really stuck in, watching English speaking and English distributed and produced movies. And he demands your attention so much so that, not only was he up and was the movie up for Best Picture, Steven Yeun is like fucking lights out in this movie. He plays a dad so fucking well, like so well. He plays a husband who is just torn about so many different things, torn about his relationships, torn about his place in the world, his place in this new environment he's in, trying to figure out how to become, a successful farmer, successful worker in this place that's just so difficult to get in. Those like meetings he has to like get into grocery stores and get in these places, they're so fucking rough to watch. And so those little tiny wins that the family has throughout the movie are so rewarding. And it's one of my favorite endings for any movie from the past year. Him and his son just keep moving. It's not the 100th blow that breaks the rock. It's the 99 before it. And I love that. I love that about Minari, that it is one of those movies that here's a snippet, but that this story does not end here. It keeps going, and this father has to keep moving and keep trying to become a better person. And I love every performance in it, man. It's an awesome movie. I don't think it's for everyone necessarily. I think it is on the slower side for a lot of people. It's not as easy to get into as something like Judas and the Black Messiah or A Promising Young Woman. It's not as, bang, 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 like knock it out. It takes patience. It takes a patient eye, it takes a patient mind to watch Minari and really appreciate it. But I definitely loved it, and I would love to own this movie at some point.
Yeah, I get it. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. I just, when it comes to film, I don't like to be reminded that I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie. I don't like to have those moments where I can like check my email. I like to just constantly be, in the shit. That's what I want. I want to constantly be just present. And some movies just have those moments that just drag you out. And I hate when that happens, but I gotta admit when it does happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. Being honest, with what you felt while watching it, that's the most important thing. And I think Minari is a key, is a movie you could look at where like the differences we have as movie fans are going to shine brightly with Minari. I like a lot of quote unquote boring movies. I usually like quiet. I like movies that just move and don't need a lot of words, to tell you what's going on. I like emotion behind acting and behind filming. And Minari is kind of a world class when it comes to that.
Whereas I like words.
You're a writer. Yeah.
I like exposition. I like character. I like a plot-driven movie with a goal in mind. And that's, that's okay. We can coexist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this isn't as bad as when we talked about The Tree of Life. Come on.
Fuck that movie. You want to know some things I hate? I hated that movie.
Love that one. Yeah. That would win Best Picture this year for me.
God, no way.
You're lucky I haven't done it. I wanted to do it for its 10-year anniversary. I wanted to do it this year, but I was like, no, Connor just won't have any fun. So fuck it.
You're 100% right. I would have been bitter the entire time.
What we could have done is I'll just do that one by myself. I'm like, hey guys, it's Austin here talking about The Tree of Life. just no one with me. just me. Just
take it from me.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Fucking doing that is boring.
Yeah, I respect people who do that, who do radio shows and do podcasts by themselves. I mean, it's a totally different type of production. You're just it is you. Everything that's said is you, and consistently hearing yourself without getting any feedback while you're talking can make you go crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope I never have to dig into Terrence Malick in any shape or form. I have so many. I just don't care for him or the way he makes films.
Gotta watch the 70s stuff, man. You got to try. It's actually, they're both story driven, Days of Heaven and Badlands. Like you would much prefer that than the, because he stopped for a long time and then he came back in the late 90s with a Thin Red Line. And that's when he decided with that movie, he's like, I'm going to change everything that I do. It's going to be a totally different experience, and from then on, Tree of Life and Night of Cups, like these movies are just way different than that 70s stuff. Get to watch pre-Carrie and Badlands, and that is something to behold.
One day, I don't know. I'm gonna have to get drunk or something. It's gonna just not the time. I
love Terrence Malick.
Tree of Life was one of the most boring, bitter experiences of my movie watching life. Just sitting there thinking, like, why? Just where does it come from? What's in this? I don't understand.
Oh, I love it so much. So great. That was one of the first criterions that I got was that movie.
Oh my god. No, I'll never get it. I'll never get Cassavetes. I'll never get Malick. And that's okay.
Cassavetes, I'm convinced I can help you out on that one. Killing of a Chinese Bookie, I think he is up your alley.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe.
So number one for me is Promising Young Woman. That hasn't changed.
It's been this way the whole time for you. Yeah.
Since the Oscars. Since I saw this movie, I saw it by myself at Embassy in the middle of the day. There was nobody else in there. It was just me. And I heard it was good. I didn't really know what it was about. I thought it was a horror movie because of the marketing. And
yeah.
It's kind of everything. It's a horror movie. It's a comedy. It's a drama. It's a thriller. It's a revenge movie. It's everything. And I couldn't look away. I was astonished. It was so smart and so real and so heartbreaking and really just, I think deserved the attention it got. I'm so excited to see what Emerald Fennell does next. She won original screenplay at the Oscars. Well deserved. I want to see what else she's got. The cast is fantastic. The twist at the end, like, holy shit. And I hear people saying they don't like it. They give valid reasons. I just don't. I can't see it. To me, this movie has very few flaws, and I think it's lights out great. And I wanted it to win Best Picture, but I knew that was a long shot.
Yeah, I do think it was a special thing for it to be the Best Picture. My number one is also I think is on any given year. I just don't know if it would make the cut. So you've never been bothered by how it was marketed, that it was going to be like a rape revenge movie? You've never been bothered by that?
Well, it is a rape revenge movie. It's just not her rape revenge movie. It's her avenging her friend. And
sort of, yeah. I mean, she dies at the end. Like, are the cops going to take care of it? The fucking cops? Like, I don't like that. I don't like the ending with the cops show up.
The way she sets it up, though, is like there's so much evidence that he killed her. Like at the very least, he's going away for something. He's not going to prison for Nina's rape, but he is going to prison for her murder. Like, that's happening.
Yeah, and probably. I just don't. I don't. With the subject matter, like the police, the authority have been so fucking terrible to women for so long about this issue, about being molested, being raped, you know, there not being consent. And I feel like ending the movie with it in the cops' hands is like, it just left like a bad taste in my mouth. Like, damn it. You know, like I don't know. I don't know what I wanted from the ending, but I just did not want the fucking cops to show up because they're the ones who don't give a shit about for so long about this issue.
Well, this movie isn't supposed to represent rape itself. This isn't like, it's just telling a self-contained story. And in this story, it was the college that betrayed Nina the most. She never got to really go to the cops because the college condemned her from the beginning and drove her to suicide. So in Cassie's mind, and I like that she's not she's not really killing anybody. She's making a point here the whole time. Like she doesn't do anything to the one girl who, like the friend who laughed at her. She drugs her and makes her think something happened, but she didn't actually do anything. The dean's daughter, which I thought was brilliant, where she just tells him, "Oh, I left her in the room, like the same room that you found Nina in." And for her to just be like, "Where's my daughter?" made her point. And it was all about making her point. The bit with the lawyer where she like had a plan and he's like, "Please forgive me. I'll never forgive myself." It's just, it was such a smart way to go about it because it wasn't your typical revenge thriller. It wasn't just kill everybody who wronged me. It was people need to learn why this was wrong. What they did was wrong and they need to know why. Okay. I thought that was great. And then to have the big twist of Bo Burnham being part of this was like, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, like way back when. Yeah, in college. That was cool. Yeah.
And then to constantly, every guy gave the same excuse, "Oh, we were kids." Like that means anything.
Yeah.
And it's, I just, the movie made me angry for the right reasons. And I respected that.
I like that. I understand a lot more your adoration for it. Cause I get real like confused about, well, I also think maybe she's dreaming the whole time. I think there's a interpretation there's many interpretations of this movie. And I think it could be that, I think there's a few times where when I was rewatching it, I was like, okay, I see why people think maybe she's like envisioning all of this stuff. That she's just kind of lost. Society has kicked her to the side over and over and over again. And that's where Carey Mulligan is just like lights out. She's just shining so bright in this movie. And she's the best part of it. So yeah, okay. I get a little bit more of your, I really wish the cops did. At the end, I have that. I hate it. Those bastards. Like they get to like be on the screen last. I'm like, oh no.
All right. Again, though, not every cop is a complete piece of shit. I've got cops in my family who are good guys. So I don't want, the film doesn't have to represent just the worst of everybody. There's got to be some heroes out there. There's got to be somebody out there.
I agree.
Who can make this story be, have justice, because clearly Nina didn't get it. Cassie's got to get it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, that not every individual within one horribly represented and horribly run organization, not every single individual is bad.
I'm definitely not defending anything they've ever done. I am 100% on board with the fact that whole like United States police force completely fucked and completely devoid of any kind of responsibility or accountability. And I hate that. But this movie wouldn't make sense if the cops didn't arrest him.
No, for sure. Yeah. Well, and but then it would also be the irony of like, oh, see, nothing. No. They don't ever do anything.
This movie would suck if he got away with murder and rape. No way. They can't end it like that. It could be looked at as realistic if the douchebag frat guy who's set up for this job, who's gonna like run some bank one day, and he's white, it could make sense. But no, I see what you're saying. It's just a hard movie to end. It's a hard movie to
to like this is the landing, this is what we're going with, you know. And Emerald Fennell, you know, she's not from here, I don't think.
No, she's English.
So she doesn't have the ship that we all do with the police, you know. So it's different. Her interpretation of what's happening, and it could be completely different than what everybody else has taken. But no, I'm really glad you got to kind of share some of your thoughts about it and why you like it so much. Makes a little bit more sense in my head. I don't know. This is one of those, like you said, you don't care to rewatch, you know, like Nomadland. That's kind of how I feel about Promising Woman. Is like, I'm good. I think I'm good. I think I watched it. I think I'm all right. I think it's worth it. It's definitely not just like this horrible piece of art. Like, I think it's worth your time. I think it's worth anybody's time who likes. Again, just Carey Mulligan crushing it. She's amazing in this. Well, you know what my number one is? Another improbable, against all odds movie. That's Sound of Metal. Is maybe my favorite movie about change, about human permanent change. And the fact that it came out during the pandemic, you know, well, the pandemic is still going on, but a year ago that it came out, when people are, without quite really knowing it, and it's still good, it's going to be a thing that we have to process for a long time. And people are not going to realize it till they look back like, holy shit, my life changed through those couple of years. When you're going through permanent change and you don't know it, and you're watching something like Sound of Metal, where this guy is very aware of the change he's going through, very aware of what's happening to him. It's kind of a double fuck you. Like, you're screwed. Like, this movie's going to just destroy you. And it does exactly that for me. It's the most, kind of ambitious for me out of this group, where a lot of these movies, they're gonna be told, you know. Nomadland was a book. Chances are someone was going to take that and, you know, do it. Chances are someone was going to make a movie about the making of Citizen Kane. Chances are someone was going to do a Trial of the Chicago 7 and a Judas and the Black Messiah movie. Chances are someone was going to do something like Promising Young Woman. And I think there's other movies that are kind of like it, like revenge thriller type movies that deal with women going back and saying, no, like, fuck you, I'm going to fight back. Sound of Metal just is so ballsy. It's so, it reminds me of Whiplash in the way that it's like, we're telling a story that's wholly original and so different than anything you've seen. And yet it feels like so many great movies that you can name. You know, it has this familiarity that you can't put your finger on. And then it has this distinguished difference from other movies that is very easy to put your finger on. I love when movies do that. They make you sit and kind of just sit in your sweat, and you're like, what did I just witness? Was it sad or was it happy? Did he overcome something or did he accept something? I fucking love when movies do that. And then that scene that we were talking about earlier is probably my favorite scene from any of these movies, is when Riz Ahmed and Paul Raci, Joe and Ruben are talking, and Ruben's like, I'm be able to hear again, you know, and do this. And he's just sounding real weird, using his hands a lot and saying different things. And that's when, you know, Joe is like super calm, has his legs crossed, and he's like, dude, you sound like a junkie right now. You sound like you need a fix. And then, you know, that's the whole layer of him being a drug addict, a fucking heroin addict before this movie even starts. And that just stylishly and pretty easily put that into the movie. Saying it, it's amazing to do that. Just put that into the movie. And, you know, the stuff with Olivia Cook's character, his girlfriend who he plays with in the band at the beginning, and then her just kind of slowly easing her way out of his life because she's like, I don't really think I want to be with a deaf guy anymore. You know, it's brutal. It's brutality. And that ending is, I'll never stop thinking about the ending when he's sitting on the park bench and he finally takes the things out of his ears, the hearing aids, and just, I don't know if he's getting defeated. I don't know. I'm not sure. And accepting something like that as a human being is by far the toughest thing. And it's what makes us human. It's what makes us tick, makes us different and individuals are those fundamental differences and changes that we have to go through. And I fucking love when movies use that as a key point. And there's no question in my mind, you know, this is the only movie out of this whole group that I've now seen it, I think 5 times. I fucking love this movie. There's just no doubt in my mind that it's number one. If another round was here, there'd be some competition, but it's not. Sound of Metal is a through and through 10 out of 10 kind of movie for me. And the rest of these are just fighting for second place in my mind. I love Sound of Metal. I love that it was up for Best Picture. I just don't think it would have happened on any given year. I think there was something special going on. There was some kind of wave. And I feel like you and I were a part of it. Right when it came out, I was like, dude, watch it. Like, please check it out. It's just going to just rock you. And I think we were a part of that initial wave of people who were like, no, this is really good. This isn't just some kind of indie movie. Like, oh, check it out. It's like, no, this is one of the best movies of the year. And it found itself there. And I'm so grateful for it. I just like you were rooting for Promising Young Woman. I was rooting for Sound of Metal. I knew it wasn't. There's just no way it's going to beat, you know, typical Oscar movies like Nomadland and even Judas and the Black Messiah. And I mean, Mank literally has Gary Oldman holding an Oscar statue at the end of the movie. It's not happening. There's just no way. And I accepted that long before the nominations came out. So when they did, I was surprised. And I'm glad they had a horse there, and I'm glad they got some wins, you know, and some technical stuff like we spoke about earlier. I love this movie. I could obviously ramble about it all day. It's super, super important. I think it's right up there, you know, my top probably 4 favorite movies from last year, which would be 100% my favorite movie of the year. Just got completely shut out. Never Really, Sometimes, Always. Just a fucking masterclass. Eliza Hittman's movie about 2 women who travel from Pennsylvania to New York City so that one of them can have an abortion. Just fucking mind-blowing kind of movie. I love Kelly Reichardt's First Cow. That movie is another like just bare bones American fucking movie. And Kelly Reichardt has just made a name for herself the past 20, 25 years. And she's one of my favorites. And then another round and Sound of Metal. Those 4 movies just can't really be touched for me.
Yeah, you clearly got a great affinity for this film, and yeah, it's easy to see why. It's a lights out drama about human change, and it's fantastic. My top 10 of the year, I had 3, I believe, in this bunch that made that 2020, because some of these came out this year.
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah, Nomadland, Judas. Well, is it just those? The Father?
Minari and The Father came out in the States this year.
Okay, there you go.
So we didn't get them till this
Yeah.
year. But yeah, my top 10 of 2020 was fairly unrepresented. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War didn't quite manage to break it into the Oscars. Okay,
that was also my top 10. That movie is fucking bonkers, and yeah, it's so good. I like it better than half of these.
Yeah, but overall, decent bunch. Would watch again for most of them.
Yeah, and will, you know, I definitely want to use some of these for episodes, and hopefully we're doing this show for a long, long time, so we can just use them all for episodes at some point. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. So let's recap real quick before we get on to our awards for Nomadland.
Perfect.
You go first.
All right. I got number 8, Trial of the Chicago 7. Number 7, Promising Young Woman. Number 6, The Father. Number 5, Nomadland. Number 4, Mank. Number 3, Judas and the Black Messiah. Number 2, Minari. And number 1, Sound of Metal.
Nice. I had number 8, Nomadland. Number 7, Minari. Number 6, The Father. Number 5, Sound of Metal. Number 4, Mank. Number 3, Judas and the Black Messiah. Number 2, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and number 1, Promising Young Woman. So pretty opposite lists here, but we liked all of these movies for the most part.
Yeah, like you said, our 6, our 5, or no, sorry, our 6, our 4, and our 3 were the exact same.
Yes.
And then you kind of flipped, like you said. I had Trial and Promising at the back, and you had them at the front. You had Minari more towards the back, and Sound of Metal at 5. So we just kind of swapped a few things around. But in the middle, it was pretty close.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad. I love the showdowns. I love getting to do this, to rank these films and really decide, like, what did I think deserved to get Best Picture. Great. Want to do some awards?
Yeah, fuck yeah, it's gonna be awesome. This happens a lot with these Oscar Sunday episodes where the movie, I'm like, oh, I don't know exactly how I feel, and then I'm picking the awards out, and I'm like, holy shit, this is difficult for me. So that definitely helps me realize I like the movie more. So we got the Tarantino for Best Quote, the Ennio Morricone for Best Music Moment, the Philip Seymour Hoffman for Best Performance, and the Roger Deakins for the Best Scene. So take it away with your Tarantino.
I only have one this time. As I've said throughout this episode, I don't think the screenplay is the biggest strength of this film, but there is one line I really liked. It's when Fern is in, I think it's Walmart, some store, and she runs into a family she used to know, the kid she used to tutor, and they ask her straight up, like, "Are you homeless?" And she goes, "Oh no, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless."
Yeah,
and I thought, like, that's a great way to look at it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, because the concept of home is different to all of us, and I like how this film plays with that. Home is what you make it.
Yeah, and it's ultimately it's where you are. You're never gonna escape your own mind. You're always gonna be just present wherever you are, and there's something to be said about that. I love that the little girl's like, McDormand is, "Are you still full?" And she's like, "Yeah," and then she just says, "Are you homeless?" Like, just right out of the gate. So good. This is where I like I spoke about earlier with the screenplay. It's hard to know what's written, what's just from the heart, what's from the book, what are these quotes from these people. But I couldn't help myself with Frankie's is this kind of like monologue in the middle of the movie, and it's just so awesome. So it's kind of long, but bear with me. Swanky and Fern are sitting in, I think it's Fern's van, and they're just talking. And Swanky says, "I'm going to be 75 this year. I think I've lived a pretty good life. I've seen some really neat things, kayaking, all of those places. And, like a moose in the wild, a moose family on the river in Idaho, and big white pelicans landed just 6 feet over my kayak on a lake in Colorado. Or I come around a bend, was a cliff, and find hundreds and hundreds of swallow nests on the wall of the cliff. And the swallows flying all around and reflecting in the water. So it looks like I'm flying with the swallows, and they're under me and over me and all around me. And little babies are hatching out, and eggshells are falling out of the nest, landing on the water and floating on the water. These little white shells, that's what it's like. It's just so awesome. I felt like I've done enough. My life was complete. If I died right then in that moment, I'd be perfectly fine." Jesus, that's got to be from Swanky's heart.
Yeah.
That was written down. There's no way.
I don't know, because her character is supposed to be dying. So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, it's a tough one with this one. The stuff Bob Wells says about his son, like, that's fucking real. Is so tough. Swanky delivers that shit like she's been in a million movies. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's a memorable bit. It is kind of awesome that all of these regular people, these nomads, they really could act.
Yeah. The movie wouldn't work without them. I mean, yeah, without their attention to detail.
I wonder how much they got paid.
Who knows? Yeah, I plan on looking more into this movie and kind of figuring out how it totally operated.
Yeah. Music.
Yeah, the Ennio.
This score is interesting because it's not an original score. It's adapted music from I don't remember his name.
It's a tough say.
Ludovico Einaudi.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful score, used pretty sparingly. And the bit that I liked the most was towards the end when Fern is leaving her old house for the last time. Kind of sends you, it sends the movie off. It's a very reflective, kind of haunting bit of music of like, things may never be quote unquote okay again, but that's fine.
Yeah, I chose the exact same thing. It's called Ultramare is the name of that track. It's like 9 minutes long, and it is just. I listened to it on the way to work today, and I was about to come to tears. If I wasn't about to go into HEB, to fucking work at a grocery store, which is, when I was watching this movie, I thought a lot about, there's a lot of us, whether we know it or not, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're just working, kind of putting your head down and working for different corporations, like this could be you. You might find a breaking point at some point. And I think Nomadland is a warning to a lot of people. And also, it's also a hand that's reaching out. Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to be shut at your job forever. There are options. If you don't, you might have to live in a van and shit in a bucket, but there are options. You don't have to be just fucking trapped by your bank account. Like you don't have to do that. And I think having Bob Wells in it, especially Bob Wells, now he's like a successful, has different books about, what he does. And it's his choice because he's like, fuck what everything else is going on. Like that is bullshit. I'm not going to just work until I'm dead, and I thought about that a lot while listening to that piece of music on the way to work myself. I'm like, I'm 26, but I wonder if I'm just going to be doing this until I'm 70 and then I retire, then I die. I mean, good God.
You won't be, man. I can tell just by the fact that you're thinking about it shows that you're not resigned to it.
But it's not totally my, now I'm a father, I have a 2-year-old daughter, and it's on me to make sure she's okay and that she has food and she has a place to live and has a bed to sleep in. And when you have that pressure on you, you're like, I have to make money. I have to work. I have to get up and do things I don't want to do so that I can provide for the people around me. And it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary sometimes.
Yeah, I don't have kids. I can't relate straight up. And I just know that knowing you, I don't feel like you'll ever lose the zeal. Like you've got a unique way of looking at life that I find very uplifting, and I don't think you'll ever lose that.
I hope not. I definitely look at work. I try my hardest to you're there for 40 hours. That is when you look at the whole week, a week has a lot more hours than that 40, overall.
Yeah.
It's about what you do with that other time, 40 hours is less than 2 days. There's 48 hours in 2 days. It's less than 2 days within the week that you have to go somewhere that you don't want to go. So it's really up to you to make those other hours count. It really is. Make sure you get sleep. Make sure you're hanging around with people that you want to be around with. Make sure you're doing things you want to do. And I try my hardest to do that. I really do. I just know I'm young and that life brings people down. It brings people down and feel trapped. And I never have to totally go through that kind of a moment, like Fern is going through in this movie, or like Linda May in real life had to go through, or Bob Wells, or it's an interesting. The movie has an extra layer of it when I think about just every individual, especially in America, is just driven by their fucking bank account and making sure that they're okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And that piece of music, it just like, I'm like, yeah, that piece of music just makes me think about life. And that's really cool.
It makes you feel any better. I mean, you really only have to do it for 18 years. Like, and then, you know, Willow goes to college and you're good.
Yeah. It's like, see ya. Yeah, no, definitely. I think a lot of people think that way. Like, oh, I have to like buckle down and watch. I have to really make sure someone's okay for 18 years. And then I'm on to my second phase of life. Oh man, that's funny. But I want to always be Willow's dad. You know, I always want to be the person she goes to. I never want to lose that.
You won't. I know you as a person. No, you're gonna be fine.
Hell yeah. Oh man, I love that. I love when music can do that. When you just fucking millions of thoughts. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. I mean, yeah. David Strathairn.
Obviously, Francis. I mean, it's not. You know, I looked in the IMDb. 90% of the cast is like South Dakota extra, Nebraska extra.
Yeah.
Like, just come on. So yeah, it's Francis, obviously, and even then, I think she's done better.
Yeah, I agree. She has other movies where she's earned that PSH even more, you know, with competition around her. So yeah, she is doing some amazing stuff. And there are a few scenes like I'll talk about, you know, one very soon with my Deacons. She's just like, God, she can bring it. She can bring the grit better than most people, man or woman. She just brings some kind of like punch. Like when she tells when David Strathairn is like, hey, you shouldn't be driving around at night to go get your cigarettes. I bought you this licorice. She's like, I can't smoke licorice, Dave. Like, fuck off. And he's like, oh, okay, but take him. She's like, okay, get the hell out of here. It's so funny. She's so good at that.
Oh yeah, you betcha.
Yeah.
She's just great. Cool.
Oh man.
So that takes us to the Deacons.
The Deacons.
Yeah. Why don't you start?
Okay. My Deacons has been pretty clear since the first time I saw it. It's the most movie part of the movie altogether. It's when Fern goes home to her sisters, Dolly. And I like that whole bit, you know, like when they're making burgers and Fern is like, I want 2 slices of cheese. You know, I like when she's challenged. Well, we all can't just chunk everything. And she's like, oh, chunk everything? You think I just chucked everything and just went out on the road? You think it's that simple? I love all that stuff. But the best part to me is when her and her sister are sitting on the bed and Dolly finally tells her something that she's been wanting to tell her for years. And you can feel it. You can feel it. And I wrote down the whole quote because it's just brilliant. Fern's sister Dolly sits down and says, you know, when you're growing up, you're eccentric to other people. You maybe seemed weird, but it was just because you were braver and more honest than everybody else. And you could see me when I was hiding from everybody. And sometimes you could see me before I even saw myself. I needed that in my life. And you were my sister. I would have loved having you around all those years. You left a big hole by leaving. And Fern responds, yep, that one's on me.
Jesus.
Fucking hell. Oh, that shit's crazy. I have 2 older brothers who have been just amazing to me, and I've been have been along my life's journey, like every step of the way, no matter what's happening, no matter what, even if I'm neglecting, you know, the communication part. There's been times in my life where I've just kind of gone into like recluse mode. And they always like meet me halfway. They always have. And so watching that, and this girl, this lady, not this girl, this lady is saying, I needed you, man. Like I needed you as my sister, as my fucking, you know, in my alliance. I need you. Like that's why we're here. We have that one thing in common, that our parents are the same and that we were raised in the same house. Like I needed you. And her admitting that, and then Fern not even fucking putting a wall up. She's just like, yeah, you're right. Like that's totally on me. That scene is fucking incredible. When I watched it again, I just cried like a little baby. It's so good.
Yeah, I've never had that. I've been an only child my whole life. I've never had siblings to rely on, to talk to. I've never had that. I've been envious of people with that my entire life. I mean, I've had cousins, but it's not the same.
No. Well, yeah, because your experiences living under a roof with a mom and a dad, or a mom or a dad, no matter what your situation is, if you have to go through it alone, like only you know that. Only you have all those stories and all those experiences of being in that environment by yourself. And there's no one to be like, hey, you're feeling this, right? Like, you get what I'm going through? Like that. I can't imagine, because I have 3 brothers. I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother, and we're very, very close. And I can't imagine them not being with me for the stuff I've had to go through with them, so I feel that, man. How does a scene like that hit you?
It doesn't.
Fuck.
Yeah. I'm closed off to so much because of certain pieces of life I haven't had, which is a fucking shame.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, there's nothing I can do about that.
Oh man. Yeah. It's just simply what you've been dealt. It's the hand you've been dealt. And it's like, well, I'm going to play the best I can. And
yeah.
And it's really crazy. I thought for sure you had an older sibling when I met you, because I was like, this guy's fucking, he's smart. He's seen a lot of shit. He's read a lot of shit. Who's telling him to do this?
I am. It's been me. I've had to, I've found everything I've loved and cared about on my own for the most part. And I still do that. It's still just me. Just, doing my own thing.
Just grinding away. There's something just, if you don't mind me saying, like painfully beautiful about that your passions, your desires are your own, and like wholly your own.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah. There's some, what do you call them? Only child. There's some people that are only childs that are like terrible. You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell no one's been like, hey man, maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
And then there's some people like you where it's like, wow, like their mom or their dad must have been pretty fucking cool, because they've got something figured out.
Yeah. I hate people who've never been told no their whole life, and are just, stepping on everybody because they've never had. Yeah, it's the worst. My mom is the greatest and gave me, had me young. So kind of, we grew up together in a way, and she kind of was figuring it out as she went along. My dad wasn't there, and she just gave me life lessons I never forgot, and just taught me how to be a good person, how to care and what to care about, and let me kind of figure out a lot of it on my own. And I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Fucking A, man. Wonderful lady.
Yes, indeed. This one's for you, Mom. She doesn't listen to the show. It's fine. It's not personal. She just doesn't quite get podcasts. I've tried to explain it to her. She doesn't quite understand it.
Neither do I sometimes, Scott. Oh, that's great.
My Deacons was the same scene you had for different reasons for a bit. I changed it towards the end of the movie. For me, it was just watching her kind of not belong and realize that this isn't who she is anymore. But then I changed it to Bob Wells talking about his son.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oof. Christ almighty.
There's no way that was Chloe Zhao. That had to have come from personal tragedy. It had to have. Just the way his voice broke, and the love that never leaves And the whole idea of like, there is no such thing as goodbye. It's just, I'll see you down the road. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was almost my Tarantino. Yeah. I'll see you down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had to be that. It was one of the few moments in this movie that got me in the heart. And yeah.
Yeah. His selfishness to say he's using, I love when people are able to use their own experience to relate to somebody and still not take over the whole conversation. They can say, I'm going to see him one day and you're going to see Bo. He tells Fern, you're going to see your husband again, and giving her kind of that little token of, hope. And it's fucking beautiful. Bob Wells, man, what a guy. Yeah, that scene is incredible. Great pick.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, Bob Wells. Yeah.
Well, it may not sound like it, but I do give this film an 8. It has enough to stand. I just wish it had more.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. I think it could use just a little more, even if it was, I don't want to say like totally made up or whatever, but just give there a little bit of an urge at times. I understand that. This movie is fucking gorgeous. Just like, God, there's some parts of the United States that, they're deserts, and they're just these pieces of landscape that no one is really looking at. And this movie just puts it in the spotlight. And it's so beautiful. When they're in the Badlands and she says, we're the bitches of the Badlands. Like, that place is fucking beautiful. Beautiful. And there's a decent amount of people there, but then you look at, New York City, and there's just millions and millions and millions inside of one city with these big man-made buildings. And you're like, we should all go hang out in North Dakota.
I do love movies that hammer home the idea that the world does not stop at your front door. And I do think that this film, highlights the majesty of America's landscape very well, while also condemning how fucking horrible we treat most people in this country. That people can work their entire lives and have nothing to show for it is absolutely tragic.
Yeah. That bit, there was another, the Bob Wells bit was my second pick for Deakins. My third pick that I thought about was when Linda May talks about how she like put in her Social Security benefits and it was only $500, and she had worked forever. She's like, Fern, I've been working since I was 12 years old and I raised 2 kids. And she's like, I got to a really bad place and I wanted to kill myself, and you're like, why do we do this to people? Like, the fuck is like the powers that be are just, they just don't give a shit. The 1%ers just do not care. And it's so sad. And if anything, any person with a pulse, especially American, can see that, can agree with that people are just treated so poorly, and we have to do a better job. I love that tribal instinct, that these people have. And when Bob Wells is like, I see this is the Titanic and economic times are changing, and I want to get as many lifeboats out there as I can. Like, that's so fucking powerful. Like, for someone to be way bigger than themselves, very cool. There's great aspects of this movie. So I give it a 9 overall, and definitely going to rewatch it at some point. I love movies like this that are just thriving on cinematography and thriving on landscape. And then there's some powerful dialogue. So I like it a lot. I understand it winning Best Picture. I think it's makes sense. Okay. Yeah. It's speaking a lot about things that are happening. It's timely. Looks beautiful. It's got Frances McDormand, who's an Oscar, godsend. So it just makes sense. Obviously we both wish other movies would have won, but it's a good overall winner. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I get it. I'm hoping next year means, we're going to get a crazy fucking wacko movie that wins Best Picture.
Licorice Pizza. That's what's happening.
Is it his chance? It's his turn.
I don't know. He's not, he could win later down the line too. I don't know. I would love for him. I would love for one of his movies to win, but if it's not going to be There Will Be Blood, because No Country came out the same year, like I just don't think it's ever happening for him.
having not seen any of the real, it's Oscar bait isn't really out yet. The one I'm hoping makes the biggest splash is Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. Because just of how crazy it sounds. And I want Adam McKay to win another Oscar. I want Leo to win another Oscar. I want it all. I want gold everywhere.
I hope that movie. Yeah, I really hope that movie comes through. Yeah. You never know with films like that, but it has all the makings of something awesome.
Yeah, as always, it's going to be a very interesting award season, and I love getting to experience it in real time and actually have an avenue to talk about it.
Yes.
So, what are we doing next week?
Next week is an intense genre film called Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. 1960. Very excited. We've hinted at this movie a few times, I think, over the podcast, and I believe Caleb is going to join us for that next week. It's got really interesting stuff that happened on set, as well as Oscar nomination. So we will be kind of diving into that. We might do something fun, some little project, because I love doing that especially with you and Caleb. So yeah, just come back, buckle up. We're gonna have a lot of fun. This is a movie I've never seen, and I need to see it, so I'm ready for next week.
Yeah, this is one we were gonna do in October, but we decided to swap it out with the Grand Budapest Hotel for Wes Anderson. But it's never, horror films aren't just stuck in October. We can do them whenever we want.
Hell yeah.
On Filmgazm this Wednesday, we're tackling an early Brian De Palma movie called Sisters.
Fuck yeah.
This was your pick on our monthly cycle, and I have not yet watched this. I have heard from you for quite some time that it is fucking bonkers, and I'm excited.
I love Sisters. Yeah.
Very cool. And then tomorrow's sneak preview will be covering a wide variety of films, namely Eternals, Spencer, The Harder They Fall, and Finch on Apple TV+. So I'm going to try to watch them all, but, we'll see. With that, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.